All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Gonna look at its local Google search, city Google search, see if it has BSS for either of them. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And more on this, pinned video, home video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph in white here. Highest intent people on the left. These are the peeps searching literally today for boudoir photo shoot in their city. We focus on those peeps here with our BSS videos about BSS because these are highest intent, easiest to convert, closest to the money people. Over on the right, our lowest intent people. We talk about those with our sister brand of Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And currently over there, we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. Now, BSS means boudoir search sameness. That means a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google. 0 slots on page 1 on Google means obviously, they're on page 2 or deeper, somewhere deeper. And we care about this because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never ever even hit page 2. They're page 1 and done searches, that's it. Which means if we're on page 2, we're invisible to approximately 80% of the market. And 1 slot on page 1 of Google, that ain't good either because, there's 10 organic slots page 1 of Google. If 9 other boudoir photographers each have 1 slot, everyone's looking the same, everyone's got 1 slot. We're not saying that, we're basically invisible, and guess what? A boudoir photographer is, or a boudoir buyer, their behavior is going to be just clicking through everyone on page 1. Well, approximately 80% of the boudoir buyers, they're only going to be clicking through everyone on page 1. They'll never go to page 2. And they'll be comparing everyone on page 1, and as a result, they will, filling out everyone's contact form, getting price quotes, negotiating, pulling down the price, asking for more. It's kind of annoying to deal with, to run a business that way, and most of them won't even go with us. So it's like, man, what's even the point? Now, 0 1 slots on page 1 of Google is actually not normal. It is a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, the number one thing there is, well, basically everyone knows this. This is more boudoir photographers entering the market over time. Just simply as people upgrade their gear, kind of like get a new iPhone, get a new camera. This just naturally happens. Then eventually they throw up their Google My Business profile saying they're a boudoir photographer. They've got their website ranking on page 1 of Google. They're competing to, saying they shoot boudoir photography. They are also increasingly posting in the mom groups on Facebook that that they now offer boudoir photo shoots. And a big market saturation time with COVID, tons of people lost their jobs, so they earn money. Everyone's got a super powered smartphone with awesome camera. Tons of people became boudoir photographers in that time. Now, the false belief of page 1 equality. This is the new one that very few people know about. So what this is actually a lot of boudoir photographers have kind of assumed or accepted that every boudoir photographer gets either 0 or 1 slots page 1 on Google. And it's kind of like, yeah, whether Google wants to give you that slot, yes or no. And maybe you're on, who knows, slot 7, page 1, slot 7. Then some market saturation happened. Now you're on page 2, slot 2. And a lot of boudoir photographers are like, oh, well, I hope those new peeps, delete their website and Google de-indexes them. So maybe Google will bring me back up onto page 1. But no, this is 100% incorrect. This is the wrong way to think about it, because what we have learned, and we have the data to show, is Google will actually give us as many page 1 slots on Google as we want, and we actually do put in the effort to acquire. And I know this because I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days with this new methodology we discovered. So that's how we know the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. Now, boudoir photographer with BSS, boudoir search sameness, is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. Again, if we got 0 slots page 1 Google search, that means there's page 2 or deeper. We're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. If we got 1 slot page 1 on Google, we're looking the same as the other 9 competitors that are on there for a total of 10 slots. We're still invisible. We're still disappearing. We're slowly dying. So multi scenarios, it's kind of the canary in the coal mine, kind of the warning light, the red flag that's telling us our boudoir photography business itself is now on its way to disappearing. But thankfully, we now have a solution. We've discovered that BSS is actually treated with social search saturation, aka our S-cubed methodology. And we know this because we invented it. That's how we went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google in only 10 days. We'll see that data here, I don't know, like 4 or 5 more pictures. Now, S-cubed methodology, the way it works, it's exactly in the name. We saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, so we show up them there for those. And this is kind of like, when we do this, it's kind of like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains down in South America on the eastern side, the backside. Snow back there. What eventually happens is that snow melts, small streams, small rivers, and guess what? It all flows into the Amazon River. That Amazon River is Google page 1. But to get all that water there, first got to be snow at the top of the mountains. So saturating social search, that's our snow. That's where everything begins. That's the input we care about, our S-cubed methodology. Everything flows from successfully executing S-cubed methodology correctly. And the interesting thing about this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually enables them, that gives them a chance for their business to continue to grow, even in the face of market saturation, and even if they don't have a large, well-known brand, and to do all this give them this opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. The only other shot would obviously to have a large, well-known brand to compete against market saturation. But dude, that takes 5 to 10 years. We ain't got that time. We got AI taking people's jobs. We don't have time. We don't have 5 to 10 years to build it with a large, well-known brand. What's actually interesting is utilizing S-cubed methodology. My estimates is it will actually speed up the process of creating a large, well-known brand in an area by approximately 8x, because it'll be seen with such a much higher frequency across so many more platforms. That's my estimates. It's kind of like a secondary benefit of utilizing this technology. So now an example. All right, so right now we're going to Phoenix, and there are currently 1 million boudoir photographers in Phoenix. We are one of them. Since we don't have a large, well-known brand, then the only way we can, everyone's got their websites and their boudoir photographer competing page 1 in Google search. So since nobody's got any of those since there's so many competitors, we realize, all right, we got to use S-cubed methodology to get out of this mess. Let's say we crank it up to the max. Let's say we're ranked for the first 300 slots across all of social search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. And let's say that flows out onto Google. And we're taking up the first 300 organic slots on Google. And we know it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. And so as a result, we're taking up literally the first 30 pages. And we are basically, for any boudoir buyer to find in any of our competitors, they got to scroll down to slot 301. And on Google, that's page 31. I mean, who's doing that? Basically no one. So when any boudoir buyer is actually searching for, any boudoir photo shoot in our city or any high intent boudoir buyer keyword in our city, we're basically the only ones showing up. And as a result, we, whose business is growing? Most likely ours. Whose business is dying, fading, disappearing? Most likely the other 999 boudoir photographers that buyers really can't even find them because we're saturating all the surfaces where they could be found. So this is kind of a ultra extreme example of what S-cubed methodology can enable for a boudoir photography business. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility, P1V. Yeah, we get our initial benefit, more slots page 1 on Google. But our second initial benefit of every new slot we get page 1 on Google, we actually get, we're actually kicking our competing boudoir photographers in our city off that page. And we effectively make them invisible because now they're on page 2 or deeper, and we already know approximately 80% of Google searches are page 1 only searches. So we can basically choose to make our competitors disappear and put their business on the path of disappearing, depending on how much effort we want to put into acquiring all these slots. Now, page 1 visibility, actually it's boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. This is where the GBC universe has a recommended minimum of having minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search. That's because all the other boudoir photographers will basically have 1 slot, so we're going to be dominating them for buyers scrolling page 1. And on the ultra rare case, someone has 2 slots, we're going to be dominating them as well because we have 3. We also know the boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer VBP. So we got our full, basically our full got our full micro universe here. We got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page 1 equality, the false belief page 1 equality. We can now solve it with S-cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Just kind of our micro universe here. And now we're going to look at my results. So the results that I got purely using S-cubed methodology. So I want to dominate rank for this keyword, BLCS boudoir. I want to dominate page 1 Google search. And let's see the results I got with it. So we're getting slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10, me. So the best thing about this is from 0 to 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search in only 10 days, purely utilizing S-cubed methodology. All right, now to the main event here. You can see that this boudoir photography business has BSS, boudoir search sameness for the local search, for their local search and their city search. So, all right. All right, so let's see what we got cooking here. So we gotta go down to the organic. So this is the local Portage Park. All right. All right, let's see. Nope. All right, there we go. See him right there. We got 1. All right, so we got 1 out of 10. Dude, we got BSS. Got local, for local search, we got BSS. We got 1 out of 10 slots. Google page 1. All right, let's go to city search now. Chicago ill. All right, so scrolling, looking. Nope. All right, dude, we're at 0 out of 10. So 1 out of 10 for local, 0 out of 10 for city. So it means we do have BSS for both of them, which means we are not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for both local and city. All right, so if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local search or city search with the highest intent boudoir buyer searches, and you had BSS for one or both of them, or you did not meet the GBC recommended minimums of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 of Google search for either one or both of them, and you've accepted that the false belief of page 1 equality is actually a false belief, and you understand, well, now we can actually go and grab and take as many page 1 Google slots as we want. Way better than ads, because Google PPC, I believe the max we're getting is one PPC slot, even if there's 4 or 5 slots available. And once stop spending on ads, that momentum dies. With S-cubed methodology, there is still some momentum that continues after. It's not infinite, but there is still momentum that continues after. And you're saying, okay, S-cubed methodology is perfect for you. It's the way forward. You've been waiting for something like this. You want those initial benefits, more slots page 1 on Google. And actually, you really also like the sound of the second initial benefit, which is kicking off your competitors off page 1 on Google, putting them down to page 2. And you actually, you understand the market saturation. Yeah, people get new gear, more boudoir photographers coming over time. But you're actually looking ahead and you're saying, man, AI is taking people's jobs already. So you know it's going to happen more and more and more and more. And so you're like, and actually, not only is new gear going to bring more boudoir photographers into the market, but actually the largest portion of new peeps entering the market will be AI taking their jobs. They still need to earn money. And as a result, they current to become boudoir photographers. Everyone's got an awesome smartphone with great camera, so flood the market. So you're saying, so you realize, hold on, you actually need to also fortify your position page one on Google. Have so many links of yours Google wants to rank page one that Google actually holds them in reserve off on like page two, to where current boudoir photographers essentially cannot even rank page one, and neither can the new entrants that would mostly be coming from AI taking their jobs, can essentially no longer rank on page one. And you're saying, okay, the only viable way you can see that happening is also with SQ methodology. And you're liking those benefits, and you're actually liking looking ahead where doing this SQ methodology is building up these basically invisible thematic keyword columns plugged into your brand, in digital cyberspace, under your brand name, website name, social handles, and kind of basically building up back-end AI mindshare in the AI brain. Every single day we successfully execute SQ methodology together. And every single day that happens, we're increasing the probability Google, all these manual search places will recommend us an AI overview, the number one most premium placement that we cannot pay for, and be the only one recommended here, right at the top. So you're seeing everyday SQ methodology builds up the keywords, kind of the age, repetition, authority, grouping, relevance, all building up this backend AI mindshare to increase the probability we show up. We're displayed on this AI overview, and also increasing the probability that we show up for every standard AI search in the AI search apps, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. You actually understanding it serves a dual purpose for these AI systems, front-facing, standard search, but also AI search. And last time I did AI search for a boudoir photographer in a city, it recommended 3. This was with ChatGPT. And I went to that city and manually looked, and I was Google and Facebook, and I was able to find like 60. It's like, man, we got to find a way to get recommended here if AI search is only recommending 3. And you're seeing it. SQ methodology is the only solution out there for boudoir photographers that has the highest chance of giving that benefit. And you're also seeing that, you understand, since my plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, that you understand you decide you're going to be a first mover to jump on this, because then you can actually prevent all your competitors from getting it. You get all the benefits, more links page one, kicking more competitors off page one, making them disappear in the short term, and most likely in the long term. Higher chance of being shown AI search, AI overview, approximately 8x faster building a brand, and basically building a massive gap between you and all your current competitors and potential future competitors coming when AI is taking people's jobs to this back-end AI mindshare by executing SQ methodologies successfully every single day. And you also see in the converse, if a competing boudoir photographer in your city jumps on this first, then as a result, you'll actually be frozen out. They'll begin the benefits. They'd begin more slots on page one. They'd be kicking you off page one, maybe even kicking off you page two as well if we could do enough links. So you could be off page 3 or deeper. They're building up this AI backend AI mindshare momentum. They're building out their brand approximately 8x faster than you, and just building a massive, massive gap between me and your competitor and you. And so you would then have to rederive S-cubed methodology all on your own, or at least derive it in the first place, the first time for yourself. And you'd have to, you'd never feel 100% confident you've actually derived it correctly, because you'd never actually know. And then you'd have to equal our output every single day. And when you equal output every single day, you would simply be maintaining the gap me and your competitor have already built up against you. So you'd actually have to 2 to 3x our output every single day. And when that happens, you probably won't even feel confident to put in the time to do that, because again, you would not feel 100% confident you've even derived the strategy correctly in the first place. And who's even got 80 hours a day to do all this? So you realize now, you're saying that you're like, screw that. I'm going to be the first mover in my city. I'm going to prevent every other boudoir photographer from my area from doing this. I cannot, afford to miss this. Then shoot me a DM. My DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed to new patients. But when I do open my DM, shoot me a DM. And what we will do is we will see if you qualify for utilizing our SQ'd methodology.